Last match on the card, the main event for NXT TakeOver London is the NXT Championship, which will be defended by Finn Balor against Samoa Joe. And we kind of talked a little bit about this in our Apollo Crews Baron Corbin thing, because I think we all have the same idea here. Whoever wins the one match, it influences the other match, and either we get Apollo Crews built up towards the title in some fashion, or we get Baron Corbin possibly going up against Finn Balor in the future. You know, there's possibilities here, but it seemed like everybody was kind of going with the idea more so that Samoa Joe is winning the belt here. And I don't know if I necessarily agree with that, but I'm going to let you guys talk about this first. And Drew, I'm going to start off with you. Is this the time for Samoa Joe to win the belt, or should it stay on Finn Balor?
Absolutely, it's about the time to. Kevin Owens was a pretty dominant heel. Samoa Joe is a lot like Kevin Owens in that retrospect. And Finn Balor has served his time in NXT. I think it's about time he starts getting prepared for the main roster, so to speak. Samoa Joe could just be down there with the title, help could build and, complete some of the younger talent like a Baron Corbin who's not as crispy clean or green, but
Baron
I think
Corbin's not a Krispy Kreme, is that what you're saying?
Sure. But anyways, yep, I would not be mad at Samoa Joe one. I think it makes sense. And yeah, Finn Balor's probably going to go up to the main roster soon.
Wago, would a Finn Balor title change here piss you off? I mean, it's been 5 months.
Oh, I'm perfectly fine with him dropping the belt. I'd love to have a heel dominant champion on NXT. They did it with Kevin Owens to some aspect, but I felt Kevin Owens' reign came to an end too short. I think Joe can bring a lot out of the baby faces too on this roster. The guy's a veteran, so I think he could do wonders for the NXT as a champion. Plus, I think it's time for Finn to come up.
Also, something that we talked about earlier was how, Dallas might be the next takeover. I think there might be a takeover in between somewhere at Full Sail. Maybe it's late January, early February type of ordeal. They could easily flip-flop the titles back and forth and then do like the grudge match at Dallas. I think they could easily do something along those lines.
Well, Peyton, do you think that we're going to get another takeover, or do you think that this is the time to switch a champion over, build Finn Balor up for a little bit? And I mean, if we get him coming up to the main roster, we were talking earlier, you either bring him up before WrestleMania or you wait until after Dallas. What do you think is a better option? Or you just keep him in NXT. Could always do that.
Okay, well, you threw like 10 questions at me there.
What would you do with
I
Finn
don't think
Balor?
they're going to do another. I don't think they're going to do another takeover. I think it'd be way too many too close together, especially because that one that's going to be in Dallas is supposed to be one of your bigger ones, so you want to spend a long time building that. Doesn't mean they can't do another title match in between. They've done title matches on the regular NXT shows, and they'll have one or two in between the takeovers that are like a little bit bigger shows where they'll have that match and another bigger match on it. So it's not out of the question that they could do that. I just don't see Joe winning this. I don't think that there's a need for him to have that title. I do think Balor can lose it maybe a little later because he is someone you want to bring up to the roster soon. Because I think they have big plans for him when they do. I just don't see the need to put it on Joe. I think there's so many better options. And Apollo Crews is someone I saw as a great option they could look to go with that. I know they already did that match, but that they could build a rematch for that. Like Apollo Crews got himself more experience and now he's coming in again. Baron Corbin would be a good one to go with. Sami Zayn's back in the mix down there, although he's another one I think that should be brought up sooner than later. I just don't see it for Joe.
See, Sami Zayn's involvement is something that I'm curious about, because if he's coming back to NXT, then there's not as much of a need for Finn Balor as there was before. No, I mean, they could keep Finn Balor around. They can have Sami Zayn, Finn Balor, and Apollo Crews as the top three babyfaces, and that's perfectly fine. But if they do keep Sami Zayn there, then Finn Balor isn't as important as he was. And the idea of a heel champion becomes much, much more important. So that kind of boosts the credibility of Samoa Joe winning here, I think. But, I mean, the April Dallas show, it's 4 months away, but those 4 months can go pretty fast. I'm thinking more so than anything here, Finn Balor is retaining and dropping it at Dallas. that way he'd be able to come up after WrestleMania. And I don't know who he would be dropping it to, but we could have like a fatal 4-way, maybe. And that could be something where maybe Apollo Crews wins it, or maybe Samoa Joe wins it there or whatever. But I think that they're also a little bit hesitant to put it on Samoa Joe because he still is sort of an outsider. I mean, he's signed a deal. He's in WWE. He's been there for a couple months now, so that's cool. But giving him the championship might not happen right now, or ever, actually. But I think it'll eventually happen. So, bottom line, when it comes down to it, I mean, it's going to be one or the other. It's either Finn Balor's retaining or he's not. So, Wago, is it going to be Samoa Joe or is it going to be Finn Balor?
I'm going to go with Samoa Joe.
Drew?
Samoa Fat.
Peyton?
Balor.
Balor. I'm going to go with Balor as well. So we're split there. Leave your comments below. Tell us if you think it's going to go one way or the other. Maybe you'll help sway our opinions before TakeOver. And as I have said before, we're going to be doing TakeOver stuff when TakeOver actually ends up happening. It's earlier than normal for those who don't know about the time switch and stuff. Since it's in London, it's not going to be 8 o'clock at night. So if you're interested in checking out our post show, we're going to be doing that in the afternoon, or, well, if it starts at 4 o'clock, it'll be a little bit at night. But that's going to be happening earlier than it normally would. It's not going to be 1 in the morning or anything like that. And we're going to have our live coverage of the event during the day on smarkoutmoment.com itself. So go check out those things when they end up happening. And hopefully it'll end up being better than TLC, as good, or if not better than this Monday Night Raw that we just talked about on the Monday Night Raw post show. Go back and check that out too while you're at it. So we have one more thing that we need to do for this episode, and that is the Fantasy League coming up in the next part. So stay tuned, everybody, because that's coming up next.